Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Receiving Noor weekly Quran study with Dr. Yamina. We are continuing to study a new surah.
Welcome to Receiving Noor.
We started a new surah, Surah 32, last week, and today is our second session. Inshallah, we'll continue with the second verse. As usual, you're welcome to join in with comments and questions, either during the study or toward the end with the Q&A. We really would like to make it a session that's interactive, so please don't be shy. So without further delay, I turn to Dr. Yamina. Jazakumullah khair.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. So last week we started with Surah Al-Sajdah, which is Surah 32, and we focused mostly on Ayah 1, but keeping in mind also Ayah 2. Ayah 1 was Alif Lam Mim, which are the so-called disjointed letters, al-huruf al-muqatta'a. And there are 29 surah, 29 chapters of the Quran that starts with such letters. And in Ayah 2, we are told the sending down of the book, without a doubt, is from the sustainer of all the words. Tanzilul kitabi la rayba fihi min rabbil alamin. So through Ayah 1, through Alif Lam Mim, we learned what an ayah means. What does an ayah mean? A sign, an ayah, usually translated as verse when it refers to a unit of the Quran, and a sign when it refers to an event or something created, any creation. However, in the original, in Arabic, the word is the same, it's ayah. So I'll keep the original word so we get, inshallah, more familiar with it. So we now know, to a certain extent, inshallah, we're a little more familiar with what an ayah's function is, and part of it is that it indicates its sender. It indicates its sender, and an ayah is sent down with a message for us to read and decipher, a message for us to understand. And we are repeatedly told in the Quran that the ayat of the Quran and the ayat that they decipher in the creation are sent with messages of guidance and rahmah and mercy and compassion. So from Ayah 1, we understood that there is a sending, and Ayah 2 guides us to question where the sending is coming from. And that is when we realize that it is a sending down. It is sending from beyond, a sending from the sustainer of all the words, Rabbul Alameen. And how did we understand that? Through the process of realizing our limitedness. Last week I posed and we talked quite much about how the process of realizing our limitedness, and through realizing how we could not figure out the message of Ayah 1, Alif Lam Mim, like 3 letters disconnected, we were made to feel, but through recognizing that we could not understand the message. We did not just pass and say, okay, I don't understand, carry on. we said we don't understand, pause. What does this mean? What the ayah brings into us is part of the function of the ayah, because the ayah of the Quran is to be read together with the ayah in the creation, in this case, within me, the audience, and vice versa. And then we read the ayah within me through the guidance of the Quranic ayah. And so realizing how we could not figure out the message of Alif Lam Mim, then we were made to feel the need for seeking help in order to understand. And so we started listening through our hearts for possible, because it's through our hearts that we felt the awe, not the awe, but like when you feel you don't know what's going on. I forgot the word that I used last week. The hayra in Arabic. Then we were made to feel the need for listening for possible answers. And it is then that we are inspired with the answers, or that we are open to receive the answers when they are sent down to us. In Surah 26, which is Surah Shu'ara, in Ayah 191 to 194, we are told, your Rabb, your sustainer, alone is the Almighty, the Merciful. Truly, it has been sent down, it here refers to the Quran, it has been sent down by the sustainer of all words. Like in Surah Al-Sajdah, the Quran has been sent down by Rabbul Alameen. The trustworthy spirit brought it down, and in Arabic, it's the brought it down is descended with it, as if nazala bihi. So it's derived from the same word as tanzil. So nazala bihi ruhul amin, the trustworthy spirit descended with it to your heart, so that you may be among the warners. So the tanzil, descending down, descends upon the heart. And that's why the purifying and that we talked about last week is happening in the heart. We have to get rid of our assumptions and our delusion, our taken for granted that I understand everything. I know, of course, this verse says this so and so. That's it. I understood the ayah. But through ayah 1, all that attitude, that taking for granted, was suddenly shaken, because we were suddenly told Alif Lam Mim, A-L-M. Go and figure out what it means now, since you think you understand. So suddenly we were bewildered. I'm not going to repeat what we shared last week. But at the end, we understood that when we seek answers sincerely, meaning truly realizing that I can't figure it out and I need help, I need to be guided, I need the meanings to be sent to me, then our prayer is answered, at least partially, since we can never be sure that there isn't more to the message of an ayah more than what is sent through us, through this divine ayat. Just what I receive is never can exhaust what the ayah mean, because it's coming from an infinite source. So its meanings are infinite, and I can only receive what I can handle right now in my situation right here and now, and that can change tomorrow and next year. What is important though is that we don't know, we are made to know as much as the sender decides to reveal to us. We're only the recipient of this sending. And that's why it is called a tanzil, a sending down. There is two aspects of tanzil, this word that I want to emphasize. One is that it is sent down, so we are receiving the sending down. It means, from our perspective, we are in need. We are not the source of the understanding. And from another perspective, where it is being sent to us. So the term tanzil is derived from the root nazala, which means descending. And tanzil therefore means from nazala, causing something to descend, to go down. And you can imagine that tanzil can't be used in reference to communication among people. We don't talk about people sending a meaning, sending down a meaning to each other. So the meaning of tanzil, of sending down, already indicates some supernatural communication, something not unfamiliar, but unusual, let's say. It is not from one level to the same level. And another meaning of tanzil that I will emphasize, inshallah, today is it's a process. The pattern tanzil is a process. It's an ing form in Arabic. It's the equivalent of ing form in English. And so it's not something that happens all at once. If it is a process, it means it's happening gradually. So we'll see how it has been understood as gradually, but it also means that it is not completed, it is not finished. It doesn't mean it did not happen once in a time in history and it's over.
Dr. Yamina, I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Before the usage in the Quran, outside of that usage, is it used for speech, or tanzil is?
No. Wahi is used pre-Quran. Wahi, which is in the English translation, wahi and tanzil are most of the time translated with the same word, revelation. Sometimes tanzil is translated as send down, but when it is a sending down, because it sounds awkward in English, then it's translated as a revelation. Not as far as I know, I don't think, no, it's not used as a speech act among people. However, the word wahi, which is also revelation, is sometimes used in reference to human communication. And even to animal communication, and we can see that in the Quran, God yuhi al-nahl, so the bee, and we can find that in pre-Islamic poetry as well.
Tanzil as a reference, it's really like a construct of that's not in daily usage. Just like in English,
you can use tanzil, but not as a speech, not to refer to speech, to communication.
Yeah, being sent down.
Yeah. But wahi is, but even with wahi, even in outside the Quran, it can be used, or it is used usually when the communication referred to, whether it's between a human or referring to an animal, when it happens in some extraordinary situation. When you hear wahi, you don't think it's a normal conversation, communication. It's always, how do you say, it's always accompanied by a sense of mysteriousness, something secret, something going on.
I understand.
Yeah, even with wahi. But wahi is used in normal Arabic, but tanzil is, as far as I know at least, is not used in this sense. That's why I wanted to use tanzil, and I translated the ascending down, which is a little bit awkward, but just to emphasize, not only emphasize the fact that it's coming from in this case from God to us, but also the fact that it is usually translated as a gradual sending down, a gradual revelation, usually translated as gradual. So not only it's gradual, but it's also continuous, let's say. I'll come back to it, inshallah, if you have time.
Asad here has translated as the bestowal from on high.
Yeah. That he wanted to keep the on high, probably.
Yeah.
And down.
Bestowal from on high.
It's a descending. Something is descending. Yeah. Another aspect is whether it's revelation or tanzil, whether it's wahi or tanzil. If it is, it's not something that we can grasp with our analytical mind. It is a phenomenon that we believe in to the extent that we experience. That's what I tried to emphasize last week. To the extent that we experience the receiving, that we become the object of the receiving, of the sending down, that if I'm receiving it, it means it's being sent to me, then I witness the sending down. And to that extent, I believe in it. As we become, or to the extent that we become acquainted with this kind of speech, of this divine speech, God is speaking, it is something that we cannot really truly grasp. We experience, but truly, how can we explain that God is speaking? But we can't talk about it. We are using our normal words, but we can talk about it to the extent that we are acquainted ourselves, we experienced it, and it's going to make, to start making sense to whoever is hearing it, to the extent that that person also starts experiencing it. And so it is about how God speaks to us through words in the book, in the Quran, and he speaks through us also in the creation, through his creation in the world of being. So from one aspect, the Quran is speech, and it carries meaningful messages and guidance. From another aspect, it is God's speech. So it is not readily available. That's why once we understand the words of the ayah of the Quran, we still need to ask for guidance to be sent to us. We still need to listen. And that's why in the Quran it says, when the Quran is recited, listen to it, listen carefully to it. And so we need to listen carefully with an open heart in order to be able to receive some of the meanings of the message that is, when it is sent to us, when it descends upon us, when it descends down upon us, if I may say. So the fact that we are inspired with some answers, some messages, and some guidance, once we go through all this inshallah, we are inspired with some answers. That is itself, that fact that I received something, even tiny, guidance, some meaning, some meaningful messages that transform my life, that bring light and meaning and purpose to my life, and I experience it. That fact is itself evidence that whoever is sending this message here and now to me hears us, hears me, answers our prayers. And who can hear us except the one who is creating us, the one who is sustaining us, who is sustaining our life right now, our breathing, with hearing and with the need to understand. Where did they get this need to understand? And not only I have the need to understand, but when meaning comes, I understand it. I don't know how I understand. I am made to understand. That's also each one, the more we reflect, then the whole process is full of signs. And all those signs are corroborating the message of the ayah, and they are a means for me to witness the truth of this ayah. So I'm being sustained with hearing, with the need to understand, the need to be guided in this strange and sometimes very confusing world. Who is doing all this? My Rabb. But my Rabb can only be Rabbul Alameen, because I can only exist within the cosmos, within the whole world. I need air, I need food, so I don't exist on my own. So our Rabb is Rabbul Alameen. It is who is sending down. And that's what the second ayah tells us. And in Surah Yunus, Surah 10, in ayah 31 and 32. So in 31, we are told, say, who is it that... So I want to share with you where am I getting this kind of reasoning, that I'm reasoning from by seeing and hearing and their sustainer being ayat, and being ayat to my Rabb, to Rabbul Alameen. This is taught to us, this kind of reasoning is taught to us in the Quran. For instance, one short passage in Surah Yunus, Surah 10, ayah 31 and 32. So in 31, we are told, say, who is it that provides you with sustenance out of heaven and earth? Our sustenance, you need water from the skies, and the food to grow from the earth, and for that food to grow, you need the gravity to be as it is, the air, you need the seasons. It means that the earth needs to rotate and revolve, and the galaxies need to be there. Everything is interconnected, and everything has to be as it is in order for our food, our sustenance to be given to us. So we are being asked, who is it that provides you with sustenance out of heaven and earth? And who is it that has full power over your hearing and your sight? And who is it that brings forth the living out of that which is dead, and brings forth the dead out of that which is alive? And who is it that governs all that exists? And they will surely answer, God. Say then, will you not then become conscious of him? And in ayah 32, we thought, that is God, your Rabb, your sustainer, the truth. فَذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمُ الْحَقِّ. What is there beyond the truth except error? How can you then lose sight of the truth? So in this passage is teaching us how to find our Rabb. Look at your sustenance, how it needs the whole heavens and earth in order to grow, and so that we can use it to sustain our life. Look at who has the power to over your hearing and sight, because I don't have any power over my hearing and sight right now. Not only that I can stop seeing, as we are told in another ayah in the Quran, if you were to stop seeing, who would you bring your sight back? Not only that, but when I see something, I make sense of it. Where is that coming from? I hear noises and I say, so and so said this. It makes sense to me. It's meaningful. Subhanallah. That in itself is a very, very amazing ayah. Subhanallah. So this means that through following the guidance of ayah 1 and 2, back to Surah Al-Sajdah, we're made to witness the truth of the message of ayah 2. Remember, the message of ayah 2 is, the ayah 2, the words, is descending down, تنزيل الكتاب لا ريب فيه من رب العالمين, descending down, or the revelation of the book, without a doubt, is from the sustainer of all the words. So you can see that we can witness and confirm the truth of this ayah to the extent that we are going to be ourselves receivers of the sending down. It means we need to experience some sending down, and then without a doubt we will know that it is from the sustainer of all the words, inshallah. And now we're ready for the next ayah, inshallah, which is ayah 3, when we are told, or do they say he has fabricated it? He here, meaning the Prophet, ﷺ, peace be upon him. And we are told, nay, it is the truth from your Rabb. You see, Rabbul Alameen is my Rabb. And I say, yes, it is the truth from my Rabb, because my Rabb made me understand, get some guidance through it, and it's being sent down to me. So, of course, it is not fabricated. It is the truth from my Rabb. So it says, no, nay, it is the truth from your Rabb, بل هو الحق من ربك, that you may warn a people to whom no warner has come before you, so that they may be guided. I'll get back to that if we have time later, inshallah, the second part. I'm going to focus on the first part. So here, how do we know the Quran is not a fabrication, but a tanzil, a sending down from the sustainer of all worlds, Rabbul Alameen, and that it is the truth from our Rabb, from my Rabb, your Rabb? Each person is Rabbika, is actually a singular, your is plural in English, because the message of the Quran is being sent down here and now. This here and now, as far as the Quran is concerned, is very, very important. And many of you must have realized that I emphasize a lot, because I can only witness, I can only perform the shahada here and now. I only exist here and now. I cannot perform the shahada in the future or in other times. I am here now. Even when I refer to the past, I am doing it right now. So the message of the Quran is being sent down here and now, when, of course, when we are listening to it, when we are seeking its guidance. Otherwise, it remains in the Mus'haf, in the book. It is there, it is protected, it is concealed, but I can have access to it to the extent that I'm seeking its guidance, I'm listening to it. Otherwise, how could we receive the message? If it is not being sent to me here and now, how could we receive it? Of course, the question that may come to mind is, but the Quran has already been sent and it is already with us. We have the whole Quran with us. And it is in the Mus'haf, in the book, or maybe now we have audio MP3s, or in people's memories as much as we have memorized. What would you say to this question?
Could you repeat the question, Dr. Yamina?
I said someone may say, but like, why are you saying that in order to receive the message of the Quran, if I'm receiving the message of the Quran, it means it's being sent down here and now when we are listening, of course. But someone may say, but the Quran has already been sent to us. I don't need to listen to it in order to receive it. It's already with us. The whole Quran has been already sent.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Yamina.
Wa alaikum salam.
I was thinking and in the lines of an email. So it's not the same. I mean, you can receive, you can have emails in your mail inbox, but if you don't read them and pay attention, so it just doesn't mean that, you are actually getting them. I don't know if, so just the fact that it is there, it is in the Mus'haf. But if an individual is not doing their part, being active on interacting with it, so there is a action, involved on our part. I don't know if that's what you were asking.
Yeah, I think that's a good metaphor. Sometimes, students ask me, I sent an email this morning, did you receive it? And I don't know what to say, because I received it in the sense that, I saw that email, but I didn't, for some reason, I didn't get the chance to click and read the email. So I received it in the sense that it's in my inbox, but I haven't received it in the sense that I haven't opened and read it. So I have no idea what this person is talking about. So that's a nice metaphor, I think.
Sorry, I had I was muted and I answered while I was muted. Sorry about that. So yes, so what we want to focus on is understanding the nature of this interacting. What kind of action are we taking? For instance, if I memorize some passages from the Quran and repeat them, and that's it, I don't do anything else, am I receiving the email using your example, for instance? That's what we want to understand. What is the nature of the interacting? What action do we need to take in order to actually receive, internalize the message of the Quran? I mean, because yes, in a way it's true. In a way we may say, I don't know, can't find a better word, but like the blueprint has been sent. But is that the end of it? Is it the end of it for me? Just because the blueprint, everything is there in a book or in audio or in my memory, does it mean that I had access to it? The word is the book, the Mus'haf, or on our shelf, or the words in the audio, or the words in my memory. The Quran that we are talking about here. In Surah Al-Insan, Surah 76, Insan means human being. 76 in ayat 23, we are told, Inna nahnu nazzalnahu alayka. نحن نزلنا عليك القرآن. No. إنا نحن نزلنا عليك القرآن تنزيلا. Yes. Sorry, I mixed up with something else in my mind. إنا نحن نزلنا عليك القرآن تنزيلا. Meaning, it is truly, it is we who have sent down the Quran upon you. Here, you is singular, upon thee, gradually in stages, literally tanzila, in a gradual sending down. The process is repeated. It is a sending down that is. So here the gradual sending is usually understood as referring to the 23 years over which the Quran was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, and that's correct. The Quran was not sent all at once to the Prophet, and we'll understand why when we understand a little more about the nature of the Quran. So the Prophet ﷺ received the message of the Quran gradually, each time when either the situation required it or it came and so it brought new light, new guidance to the situation. It took 23 years. Now, do you think that it took 23 years for the Prophet ﷺ to receive the Quran, but I have it all there at once? Does it make sense, the question? Just to give us, this is just for myself, to tell myself, just because all the words are written there and I have them all there sitting next to me, it does not mean that I received the Quran. Even the Prophet ﷺ received it in 33 years. Now we also need, it means the words are not enough. They are necessary, but not sufficient. We also need to receive the message. And for this, we need to do the work, the action, that interacting that we want to, this is what we want to know. And one of the things that we are doing through our Receiving Nur session, Quran session, is to learn how to interact with the Quran. So we need to do that work and wait for it. Once I do the work, I cannot claim that now I understood, I got this. No, because if I'm doing the work properly, part of the work is to purify myself from my claims. It means to realize that I cannot understand myself. I understand the words, I do my work, and then I wait. I ask for help. I seek guidance. I seek help. I seek the meaning to be sent to me, the meaning and the implications of the meaning and all that. I seek them. I ask them to be revealed unto me, to be sent unto me. I want to receive them. If I'm claiming that I know, if I know, then I don't feel the need for more, so I won't ask. So I need that purification. And then I wait for that message, that guidance to be sent to me. And what I mean is that the literal meaning is not the message. The literal meaning is not the message. The literal meaning is the container of the message. The literal meaning is the vehicle of the message. the verses, the ayat of the Quran, the words of the Quran are the ayat. They are the signpost to the meaning that is to be revealed onto us when we are ready to receive it, inshallah. So being a tanzil, being a sending down, the Quran is not only gradual, it's an ongoing process. The Prophet ﷺ experienced it all since he became a prophet for 23 years. It's an ongoing process, a process of inzal, a process of tanzil, of sending down, a process of being sent down, meaning it is not, the Quran is not a static book sitting there on the shelf or wherever. And we can get a glimpse of this by remembering that there was no physical book to touch at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. You may say, yes, there was no physical book. The words were not written, they were read, which is the same. Whether it's written or read, it's a word. Yes, but there is something else. So it's not only, it's not a text, it's not an audio, it's not in what's in our memory, because in the very, very beginning, when there were only few ayat, it was called Quran. So the Quran is not only the whole thing, the Quran is something else, but it is the words, the book is important because it is the container. Without it, we cannot access the Quran that is to be sent. That's why the words are sacred. So the Quran actually means recitation, reading. It actually means reading, but qara'a in Arabic means reading and understanding. So I read the words, and it's not like I read without understanding. I can, because Arabic is a phonetic language, I can recognize the letters and read it, but not read it. I don't even know how to say, what is that? I am sounding the words without understanding. That's not reading. So that's better than nothing, but there is another stage when I need to understand. And there are, of course, many degrees of understanding, however much work I do and reflection I do. So there is the work that I can do, learn the meaning of the word, the grammar, the how things are used, the word order has a meaning and all that. And there is the second, and as I said last week, this is the tip of the iceberg. It is necessary, has to be done, but it is not the end, it is the beginning. After that, once I do all my work, I need to listen. So I got the words, so now I need to do the reflection. And that's what I want to emphasize as well. So the Quran is revealed unto us as we interact with it, as we read it and decipher its meaning. Otherwise, it remains hidden. It remains inaccessible from us. It's like the email is there and I didn't open it, or I opened, but I don't understand what it's saying. Or it said something, but I didn't really reflect what they are asking me. Or they said do something and I didn't do it, so I didn't understand the significance of what is told to me. So I repeat because it's very important. The sending down of the Quran, the tanzil, happens in our interaction with the words, whether in writing or in our memory, or with the literal message. And for this interaction involves our intention to read and to listen to the message of the ayah and benefit from its guidance, as we are told in the Quran, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَانصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. So when the Quran is recited, hearken onto it and listen carefully so that you may receive mercy. We will receive the mercy of its guidance when we are carefully listening to it. So often we take it for granted that the Quran has already been revealed, and it seems that it is enough to recite it in order to have access to it. This is correct from one aspect and insufficient from another aspect. From one aspect, yes, the Quran is there, but it is concealed. It is hidden in the book, as we are told in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah 56, in ayah 77 and 78. 77, we are told, إِنَّهُ لَقُرْآنٌ كَرِيمٌ. 78, فِي كِتَابٍ مَكْنُونٍ. Truly, it is a noble Quran concealed in a book. The Quran is concealed in a book. And then in 79 and 80, we are told, لا يمسه إلا المطهرون تنزيل من رب العالمين. No one can touch it, can touch the Quran except the purified, ascending down. The Quran is ascending down from the sustainer of the world. Remember, when this was revealed, these ayats, there was no physical book that we say you can't touch the book. And someone will say, what do you mean? I can't touch the book. Anyone, doesn't have to be a believer, can buy the Quran, wherever they are, can buy the Mus'haf, the book, and touch it as much as they can, as they want. Does it make sense? Here, it's talking about a Quran that is hidden in a book, and then saying that this Quran is ascending down from Rabbul Alameen. This sending down, no one can touch it. How can you touch ascending down? Yes, the touching, and messa is very light touching. So you touch it like it's almost like touch it and not touch it, to the extent that you purify yourself. Only the purified can touch the sending down. So from another aspect, so from one aspect, yes, the Quran has been revealed, but from another aspect, it is, since it is concealed, since it is hidden, each one of us needs to be prepared to purify ourselves. And when we are purified, inshallah, we can, or we with the intention, we purify with the intention to receive, to touch, because the message is so subtle. And the message here is a subtle touching, to touch the message, the sending down and the guidance, and receive the rahmah with it when it is sent our way, inshallah. So here, let's stop and reflect and take this in again. So there was no physical book during the life of the Prophet ﷺ. The Quran was memorized and recited. Also, the Quran was Quran even at the very beginning of the revelation, of the process of sending down, when there were only few revealed ayat. This means that the Quran is not restricted to the words we recite or hear. The Quran is much more than the words, which are the vehicle. They are the vehicle. They are very important. Through which, they are the vehicle through which the message of the Quran is sent down to us. So the words are ayat, as we are told in the Quran. They are ayat. They are signposts indicating the infinite meanings that are to be sent to us as rahmah, as mercy. In Surah Al-Waqi'ah, we are told that truly it is a noble Quran in a book concealed. No one may touch it except the purified, ascending down from the sustainer of all worlds. So the Quran is ascending down, and it is concealed in a book, and no one can touch it except the purified. If I think that the Quran is the book I have with me, then I will say, and I've seen people trying to tell others, don't touch it, you are not Muslims. But the non-Muslim had already bought it. It's in their hand. They bought it. How can you're going to all over the world and tell them not touch it? Don't touch it because you can't touch it. You are not pure. I remember when I was a student, someone telling this guy who was giving a conference, a Christian probably, and talking about the Quran, and took the Quran, and some people were so like, don't touch it. It's his copy of the Quran. And they were saying, but he was saying, why? And they were saying, you can't because you are not purified. They understood you are not on wudu, on ablution. He's not even a Muslim. So what if he is on ablution? And you cannot stop people to acquire Quran here and there. And this, they understood it that no one may touch it. It means you cannot touch it. You can understand that way, but then it would be difficult to confirm the ayah, because if I understand it as the physical book, everyone can buy that book and touch it, and hold it and touch it. But here it's talking about the sending down, and it's saying the Quran is hidden in the book. It is protected in the book. So my understanding is that it's referring to the Tanzil, and that someone can hold the book, the physical book, as much as they want if they are not purified from inside. Making the wudu is a reminder to get back into that state of reverence, that state of reminding us that we are in the presence of, that that God is speaking to me, my Rabb is speaking to me through these words. So they are cues and reminders, but someone who does not believe or has no idea, and just because he makes wudu, then he will have he will have access to the sending down. Doesn't make sense to me. So part of what I intend to share with you in our weekly classes, inshallah, is how do we prepare ourselves for this receiving? What is the nature of our interacting with the Quran? What kind of actions do we take? And of course, the making the ablution, the wudu, will be a reminder to what we are learning here. If I don't learn anything, I'll make wudu. It's good because it's already putting me in a state of reverence. It's better than not. But we want that making wudu to remind us of something more, remind us of what is the Quran. The Quran is hidden and protected in this word. This word are like a key or like a door to the Quran. So our attitude changes. And for this, we also need to do some inner work, some reflection, and purify ourselves, as I had mentioned last week as well. Let me give you an example, very shortly, inshallah. For instance, in Surah Al-An'am, these kinds of ayat, these kinds of passages in the Quran, there are plenty of them. So in Surah Al-An'am, Surah 6, Ayah 46, for instance, we are told, say, do you consider, ara'aytum, do you see, but in Arabic it also means do you see and consider. If God were to take away your hearing and your sight and seal up your hearts, what God is there other than God who could give them back to you? Look how we explain the signs, the ayat, yet they still turn away. انظر كيف نصرف الآيات ثم هم يصدفون. So this is an ayah of the Quran. This is an ayah. Ayah is the signpost. A signpost that says Philadelphia is not Philadelphia, but it is talking about Philadelphia. It is showing the way to Philadelphia. Here also, it is a signpost to some guidance. So would this Quran, this ayah, because remember each ayah of the Quran is Quran. This Quran, this ayah 46 of Surah 6, would it unfold its message onto us? And unless we are willing to listen to it and follow its guidance, if I read it as I just shared with you and go with my life as usual, would this ayah would have delivered its Quran message to me? No, I have to do my work. I have to be willing to listen to it. I have to be willing to receive the guidance. And in order to do that, I have to start following. What I mean is, it says, for instance, do you consider if God were to take away your hearing and your sight and seal your hearts? Okay. So what are we going to do? We start looking at how we are made to hear and see. The more I consider, the more I reflect on how I hear and see, and not only I hear and see, I comprehend what I hear and see, I am in awe. Subhanallah, what's going on? It is beyond my understanding. It is a miracle. I can only prostrate before it. I am at awe. I am amazed. It is bewildering. And then we are told, okay, if it is taken away from you, is there anyone other than God that can bring it to you? No. Whoever is giving me sight, is sustaining my sight now, is the one who is creating whatever I see out there, whatever I hear out there. What can do it? Everything else is like me. They are all in need of seeing and hearing. And if something can't see, can't hear, well, how can it have anything to do with hearing and seeing anyway? Something blind cannot bring my hearing back to me. So this way, I am taught how to reflect and be at awe and realize that that my seeing and hearing is a miracle, right, happening right now, that it is being sustained right now, that I am not in control of my hearing and seeing, and I'm not in control of my breathing and my life. So it puts me back, just in case I had forgotten. I was in ghafla, in heedlessness, and I thought, this is my life. I do whatever, I have plans for my life. I see whatever I want. I hear whatever I want. Just a second, they are not even mine. If they were to be taken away right now, I cannot do anything, and no one can do anything about it unless it is within the laws of creation. You have cataract, and then they take that whatever away from your eye, and you see again. It has to be done with his permission, following his sunnatullah, his laws of creation. So now what happened? We started getting open. We're receiving the message of this ayah because I'm following its guidance. I didn't just read it and go. I am actually performing it. I'm listening to it. I am following its guidance. And we start getting glimpses of who God is. God is my sustainer. He is the sustainer of our hearing and our sight and our comprehending what we see and hear. Subhanallah. So God is not some very unfamiliar alien concept out there. No, it's a reality. He is real. He is my benefactor. He is my host in this world. He's my sustainer. He's my friend. He is the beloved host, the generous, compassionate, merciful sustainer. And so now if we are told that our hearing and sight are ayat, we say yes. Through this ayah, we realize that our hearing and our sight are also ayat. They're also signposts telling us about who God is as our Rabb, who hears and sees everything and makes us hear and see. And only then will this ayah start making sense to us. It starts unfolding its guidance from within us because we followed the guidance from within. We reflected, we made that tafakkur and tadabbur from within and looking at what we are seeing and hear outside as well. And we saw the ayat fil afaqi wa fi anfusihim, in the world out there and within ourselves. And we start benefiting from the guidance of this ayah. And we start grasping that it is an ayah, it is a signpost to a reality that is beyond words, the reality of seeing and hearing, of which I was given a small glimpse. What does it mean to be seeing, all hearing, subhanallah. And even my amazement at how we see, how we are made to see and hear, that amazement is also an ayah, is also a signpost to the unseen, to the realm of the beautiful names of God. So you see what I mean? Would we be reading and listening to the Quran? Would I have read and listened to this ayah unless I paused and actually reflected on my hearing and my sight and considered, as we are told to do, how our hearing and sight are actually being sustained here and now. And if they were taken right now from me, no one but God could bring it back to me because he's the one, it's coming from him. Unless I do that, can I say I read the Quran? I repeated the words, but I didn't read the Quran and I didn't benefit from its guidance. This is what I mean. And it's always related to the names of God, because unless I see that all the names belong to Him alone, there is always a door open to shirk, to ascribing partners with God. Because remember, not denying the existence of God does not mean knowing God and believing in Him. Believing in God means being aware that He is our sustainer, the sustainer of all worlds. This is very important. That's why we start with in Surah Al-Fatiha. We praise Him and thank Him alone. Who is Him? Rabbul Alameen. And so in Taha, Surah Taha, Surah 20, the first 8 ayat, first 8 verses, ayat, it starts with Taha again, 2 disconnected letters. We did not send down, the verb, the send down is you. We did not send down the Quran on you from in order to make you unhappy. The you here is always singular. The, to make you, so sorry. Taha, we did not send down the Quran on you in order to make you unhappy, but only as an exhortation to all who stand in awe. Ascending down, tanzilan mimman khalaqa al-arda was-samawat. Ascending down from Him who has created the earth and the high and the was-samawat al-ula, and the high heavens. So again, the Quran is ascending down from whom? From the one who has created the earth and the high heavens. So this tanzil, this sending down from the one who creates, it is our link. It is the link between the tanzil, the sending down, it is the link between the creation and the creator. The creator is speaking to us about his creation, about the purpose of our life, the meaning of his creation. It is the key to all the questions that matter the most in our life, this tanzil. So ascending down, so I start from the beginning so it makes sense. We did not send the Quran on you in order to make you unhappy, but only as an exhortation to all who stand in awe, ascending down from Him who has created the earth and the high heavens, the most compassionate, established on the throne of His almightiness. Unto Him belongs all that is in the heavens and all that is on earth, as well as all that is between them and all that is beneath the sod. And if you say anything aloud, He hears it, since, behold, He knows the secret thoughts of human being, as well as all that is yet more hidden. God, there is no God except Him, no deity, no one worth worshipping except Him. Why? Because to Him alone belong the most beautiful names. Allahu la ilaha illahu, lahul asma'ul husna. So the whole thing, if we can remember that the Quran unfolds within us, the sending down is going to happen with onto the heart. It was sent down onto the heart of the Prophet. It means we will get some, not as much, but the sending down happens onto the heart, and it unfolds and delivers its message to us to the extent that we intend to listen and follow the guidance. If it says, consider your hearing and your sight, I have to actually stop and consider my hearing and my sight for days on. I can't do it for days non-stop, but from time to time, whenever I remember, I can focus on that until the meaning. And this ayah has many levels of meaning. It will unfold its guidance unto me to the extent that I listen to it, to the extent that I follow its guidance, and new guidance will come, as we are told in the Quran, "i'mal bima ta'mal yu'allimuka Allahu ma la ta'lam." Act upon what you know, and God will make you know what you don't know. And so for this to happen, we have to start by actually looking, observing. That's what it means to follow the guidance. I have to act accordingly. If it says look, I look, observe, I observe. Whatever we are asked to look at, for instance here, look at our hearing, our sight, and this look is used a lot in the Quran. Look how God does this and that. And we will understand how the Quran is concealed in those words, and it starts being sending down to those who purify themselves and follow the guidance of the Quran. This is a noble Quran in a book well concealed. No one may touch it except the purified. A tanzil, a successive, continuous sending down from Rabbul Alameen, from the sustainer of all worlds. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه نستغفر الله نستغفر الله نستغفر الله العظيم الكريم الرحيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ونتوب إليه سبحانه. So I'll stay here, and next week inshallah we'll carry on with we'll start with the second part of Ayah 3. Ayah 3, I remind you, was, or do they say he has fabricated it? Nay, it is the truth from your Rabb. And then it carries on and says that it is the truth that you may warn a people to whom no warner has come before you, so that they may be guided. And we'll carry on, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Yamina. Are there any comments, questions?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair. So I have 2 comments and 1 question. So the first one is like the ayah that you have cited, which is from Surah Al-Furqan. وقال الذين كفروا لولا نزل عليه القرآن جملة واحدة. And then like the answer كذلك لنثبت به فؤادك ورتلناه ترتيلا. So like this, like نثبت به فؤادك, like this is why it is like not like why it's not.
The one I shared was different actually. The one I shared was نزل به الروح الأمين على قلبك لتكون من المنذرين.
So this one, like this one, like when they were asked, like when the Prophet ﷺ, or like people said, why wasn't it revealed all at once? So the answer comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is revealed like little by little, because this is the way we hold your, what is the word for ed in English?
Usually translated as heart as well.
Yeah. So yeah.
Inner heart, let's say.
Yeah, the inner heart steadfast. So like it is a way to hold the inner heart steadfast. So like so that is why we need to do the same. Like the reason that we need to keep engaging with it is that if we don't engage with it, then the inner heart would not be held steadfast. Like the reason that we need to keep ongoingly engaging with it and just like not taking it from the surface, is to hold our inner heart steadfast. And then the other like ayah that popped into my mind again with the same thing was like the first revelation, Iqra. So like the first part is Iqra bisma rabbika alladhi khalaq. When you do this part, then you will get to علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Like once you start doing your part of reading, then you will be taught, like, you know, the revelation will keep coming to you that you did not know before. And that was like the first revelation.
MashaAllah. Yeah. True.
And then the other one that came to my mind, but I could not find it, which is like the ayah in the Quran that says, المؤمنين الذين, like, you know, they amanu thumma kafaru thumma amanu thumma kafaru. He's talking to us, like he's talking to people who are believers. Which one is this, Amen? Surah I don't know. So again, so it's like, so when I put like this, you know, surah that, like, you know, we could go in and go out and go in, then the only way to stay in is to go back to this ayah where it's coming down, like to keep engaging in it and receiving it, so that to hold your inner heart. So that was the comment. And then the question comes, you were saying, like, we are here in this, like, worldly, physical manner to witness the names of God. Like, and obviously from the Quran, like the Quranic, like, teaching is that Adam and Eve being sent to earth was intended before their creation. Like, God is telling to the angels that I'm sending them. So it's intentional. Then we have the incident that happened in heaven, like, and then they're sent down. So my question, I know you've answered this question many times. So what is it that we can only experience, that we are here to experience in our physical body, that we cannot experience in our immortal, like, state in heaven? Like, in the immortal state in heaven, the thing that comes to my mind, like, you know, we will have no sickness, so we cannot maybe experience a shafi. We will not have hunger, so we won't experience al-mut'im. But, like, is that the whole story? Like, there must be something very profound about, like, us being here in this immortal physical state, because this is the only state we can get an experience that we're supposed to be getting. Like this tanzil, we can only get this tanzil in this physical state. But I'm not sure what it is. So can you help me with that?
It is a very profound, important question. We can have one day, inshallah, after Surah Al-Sajdah. If you write it down, we can do it before starting another surah. And it is not that...
And turn it into a retreat commercial.
But it's very profound. But I just want to note that it's not that we won't be able to experience the names of God in Akhirah, for instance, in the immortal realm, but it's that we won't be able to grow and develop. Like, we will, whatever the level we reach, with Allah's mercy, it will be blessed, but still we won't be able to grow more. But here we have that opportunity to grow, inshallah. But it's a very profound question, and it will need a longer session, inshallah.
So what you're saying is that, like, so then it comes from, like, the previous two lessons that you were, like, the halaqas that you were giving, that the opportunity to grow is the ibtila'. So, like, so in the physical state, we get that ibtila', which is our, like, opportunity to grow.
Which is an opportunity to either grow في أحسن تقويم. We were created in the best of patterns, and our intention, inshallah, when we follow the path, the guidance of the Quran, is to fulfill the purpose of our creation, which is to embody the best of patterns. Or if we don't do that, there is no neutral state. Either we grow or we fall down. So that's why it is not like, okay, I don't mind staying wherever I am. No, there is no such a thing. We either grow or we get worse.
So the analogy that comes to my mind was like a WhatsApp video clip that I received where someone was photographing an escalator, and the escalator was like, you know, he was going in the, like, you know, on the escalator. Yeah, so the escalator was going up and he was trying to go down. So he was like trying to go down, but every time, like, you know, every time he comes close, like, and stops, like every time he stops, like, you know, takes a break from going down, the escalator pulls him back up all the way up. If you can think of it in the opposite way. So like,
yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
So you cannot stop. Is that right? Is that a right analogy?
In a way, I mean, when it's an analogy, it's always going to be limited. It just from the perspective that if we are not intentionally working, mindfully being aware of our ubudiyya and expressing it and fulfilling it, then we are going down. We are staying in our delusion that we are doing things. But it's a big delusion because anytime we can fall dead, and all those whatever we think are achievements, what meaning do they have if they have no true future? Mm-hmm. If they are ephemeral.
Jazakallah khair. Well, I think this is like a lot of thinking needs to be done. Jazakallah khair. Guys, share your questions. I'm sure there are so many questions and comments. I hate when I'm the only one who speaks, so please.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
I wanted to share that when you were saying that this is descending down, and it's a dynamic process, and we need to open up and encounter the text for it to come down to us, to be revealed to us. In the meantime, I was like, okay, let me give it. I'm looking at this verse. We're looking the second verse. I was like, I don't quite understand this verse, and I don't know how it would be revealed to us, to me per se. And then at the moment I went back again, and then I said, what is it that I need here? Like, why don't it, initially I was thinking, you know, this is so hard. Like, the Quran is so packed. It's really hard to understand it, and how is it going to work out? But then I went back to the verse, and I wanted to share because I felt like there's a glimpse that was opened and meaning. So if we start with the first verse, it says Alif Lam Mim. So last time we talked about how this is kind of meant to, at least what I got from it was meant to give us humility. So I read this and I don't exactly know what it is. I don't quite know what it is, but it's a good starting point to be open and to hearing. And then the second verse is very strong, you know, like it's a bestowal from on high, this coming down, being sent down. There is no doubt in it, and it's from the Rabb of the worlds. And I was like, but wait a second, it says there's no doubt, but what happened, you know, like how do I know that? How can I know? It's very strong. And then I said, well, okay, let's look at the next verse. Let's immediately talks about are they saying that he made it up? And I was like, yeah, that's when I say, well, like, how do I know? There is no doubt about it. The Quran is saying, yes, I know that, because the alternative to there being no doubt is to think maybe he made it up. But then, it assures that no, it's haq min rabbika, from your Lord. And that distinction was helpful. I wouldn't have noticed it otherwise. I think the first verse said min rabbil alamin, and the second one says your Rabb. So there's some connection to me personally, that there must be something in this message that I can relate directly, because it says min rabbika, and so that you will warn, and we'll talk about it next time. But then I kept reading. The next verse started talking about the universe, the world around us, and how the heavens and the earth,
Who God is, who this God is.
yeah, and it ends with saying there is no power, roughly, there's no power other than him. And then it said, don't you think, don't you reflect? So I said, like, this whole sequence of verses are actually, these are not just statements that are so hard to understand, so hard to confirm, like, how do I know there's no doubt, how do I know it's haq, and so on. But actually the way it's made, if I open up and try to be present, it's actually saying, yes, some say this, but think about this, and then think about the world around you, as we will discuss it, I believe, in the coming weeks. As you pay attention to the world around you, you will see that only the creator of all this can speak to you in this fashion. And I was like, wow, I had a question, and then I felt there was some answer to it, and it happened now. And it didn't happen in the beginning of the class. In the beginning of class, I was going over the verses, and I was like, this is so hard, this is so intense. And then, toward the end, it felt like there's something that I can personally, at least follow.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said it's the one who experiences can talk about it, but it's whoever is going to hear it will only make sense of it to the extent that they also start experiencing it. So you have to follow the instructions, let's say. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Anyone else? I know I noticed some comments on the chat box as Dr. Yamina was discoursing, but please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I think one of the lines that I wrote down is the Quran is concealed in a book, and I love this. I love how you explained this this unfolding, this process of unfolding when when the heart is ready to receive, and how it's this ongoing process. And for me, that was really important, because I think I think a lot of exposure that I've had to, like, you also talked about like the Quran and then the definition you gave of purification, because the way I've been kind of exposed to it has been in the sense of like book and ritual purification. So kind of what you said, the idea where like someone was like, oh, like they saw a non-Muslim reaching for the Quran, and they're like, oh no, wait, he can't touch that, or she can't touch that. Or the idea of like, you have to be in like ritual purification in order to touch the Quran. So I feel like it was very limited, and the way that you described it, it made a lot more sense, a lot more peace to my heart. It was like transcending this very literal interpretation that I've kind of been exposed to more often than not. And yeah, it just makes it a lot more meaningful. And one question that came to mind, and I don't know if this is the place, it might be a very remedial question, but the way I guess been exposed to that is I've been, when I'm talking about this literal interpretation, people have said, for example, like if I'm on my period, like, don't touch the Quran, you're not purified, you can't touch the book. And I guess I just wanted to ask if this is not the space, is this talking about like something different, like a different type of purification, or is this kind of wrapped up in this idea of this transcendent purification? Thank you.
You can add both when the physical purification is a cue and a reminder of the inner purification. But also always keep in mind that in the beginning there was no physical book. And so if you have if all of us know whatever little we know by heart in our memories, we are carrying it with us. So, and we will not be able to touch the Tanzil, the Quran that is being sent down, to the extent that if we are not purified from inside. Because from outside, anyone can touch the book. We cannot even, you can't stop them. They are free to go and buy a book and touch it. So once we understand the inner purification, then we will start valuing the outer purification. And that's also something that you will have to experience personally. You will feel, it's like you someone that you revere, someone that you like a lot, or someone like a beloved teacher or something is coming, and they say your internally your reverence is important, but how you look, what the words you say, if you are receiving the people in your home, that you get your home ready and things, is not directly related, but it is an expression of your inner reverence or your inner state of being, if you see what I mean. And so in the Quran, the ritual purification start acquiring a new meaning, and you will start doing it with that meaning. It will become more meaningful, and therefore it will be more, you will love it more because it will remind you of everything. I'm getting ready. But it does not mean that if you can't, if you are not, then you cannot. Well, they did, because there was no physical Quran in the beginning. And that's why you find different schools now. I don't want to get into that, but just I know that there were people who they would say you cannot read the Quran if you are not on ablution. But if you are learning the Quran, you can't stop like every month, stop few days. Therefore, for that you have an ijaza, you can study the Quran. So is it so or is it not? And why is it the one studying the Quran is only the Hafid? Who said that the others are not studying the Quran? It becomes very, how do you say, subjective. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, when I said studying, I should have said memorizing. They meant those who memorize the Quran, since they can't, they have to memorize constantly, otherwise they will forget it. They can start forgetting, so they are allowed to memorize and touch the physical book as well.
Yamina, can I share something that I've like this ayah like has always troubled me. So
Which ayah?
This ayah لا يمسه إلا المطهرون, it never made sense. And then I asked a professor of Arabic, and I'm trying to bring up like, okay, so the way it reads, it is Al-Waqi'ah, okay, and it is ayah number, trying to, okay, yes, so it is ayah number 79, okay, so لا يمسه إلا المطهرون, لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. And he, like the way he explained it to me, he said like when it is an order, when like صيغة الأمر وصيغة الخبر. So there's two صيغة أمر, like an order, no one should touch it except مطهرون, okay, and the other one is order, like no one can touch, the meaning is like is a khabar, like, you know, is a news. So one is news, khabar, no one can touch it except those who are purified, okay, so this is news, khabar, and the other one is order, no one should touch it except if they have tahara, okay. And what he told me, and I'm like, you know, I need to contact him and get that again. He said the way the i'rab is like the way the i'rab is here, it goes with the khabar, not with the order. Goes
that's how I understand it too. That's how I understand it.
Yes.
So, لا يمسه إلا,
yeah.
Which none but the pure can touch.
So this is khabar. This is like an order, a grammatical order of khabar, not a grammatical order of amr. So and the amr, I forgot which one, like is mansuba, like there is a difference. This is yamassahu and it should be yamassahu. Like there's a difference in like the i'rab, like, so with that, like with khabar, then the way, like even the continuation of it, like I'm opening it now, it says
تنزيل من رب العالمين. It carries on. لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. That's what I said.
Yes.
I said because afterwards it says تنزيل. It's not talking about the book. It's saying that it is concealed in the book.
Yes.
في كتاب مكنون تنزيل من رب العالمين. It carries on afterwards.
So it goes more with the khabar. Like I also grow up with the same thing where the teacher, like if you had your period, students would wear gloves, like it just didn't make sense. So like when I was exposed to this explanation, it just made more sense. Now I forgot what was like the i'rab like, but maybe we can find someone who's like.
Not only the i'rab of that particular ayah 79, but if you look at 78, 79, 80, the other interpretation becomes like, where is it coming from?
Okay.
And why is mutahharun? It doesn't say mutawaddun or something. It says al-mutahharun, those who are purified, the pure. And tahara, when you look at how the word is used in the Quran, it has so many different meanings.
Yes.
And here you can understand that it's an inner purification because it's talking about something that is not palpable physically. It is a tanzil. Min Rabbil Alameen. Tanzil min Rabbil Alameen. Can you touch it with your hands? It's something, and in other places it says that the tanzil comes to the heart. So clearly it's a purification of the heart.
And there's another explanation that, like, you know, that I've read a lot as I was looking for the meaning, that was saying it's referring to the angels, like, you know, so la yamassahu, because there's people said it's from shaitan, and then, you know, so.
Yeah, but that's adding to the text what is not in the text.
Yeah.
We cannot do that.
And then the other thing I'm not sure of that, but it just came to my head, is like the chronological order. I like, you know, the surah of the Quran, are they, how many are they? What is the number of surah in the Quran? 286. 286? What is the surah? 286 maybe?
I do not.
Yeah.
The question.
So 286. So the number of surah in the Quran are 286. Okay. So this surah, like, Al-Waqi'ah was revealed as Surah number 96 in Mecca. Like one of my questions, and I don't know the answer of it, when was...
Sorry, there are 114 chapters in the Quran.
Hold on. Sorry. Traditional order. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to explain.
Waqi'ah is 56. Yes.
Yes, it's 56. So, okay. So 56, but it was revealed, its order in Revelation. Oh, no, that's okay. Hold on. Order, I'm going to give you, like, I'm opening, give me a second. I'm opening
It is
a table that shows its order. So the order in Revelation is 46. Like its order in Revelation, it's 56 in the book, but it's 46 in the chronological order of Revelation, where Al-Alaq is Surah number 1. Okay, so I was wondering, what is the surah where the salah was, ordained upon us, and if it was after it or before it? I was just thinking, like, that also could tell us something. Do you understand where I'm going with?
I know, but you know who does that? The people who study the fiqh. Because let me also remind you that when we read the Quran, the Quran is not only a book of fiqh. So it is first a book of tadabbur and tafakkur, a book for guidance, for living. Those who are going to read the ayah in order to find fiqhi rule, they will look at what you are saying.
Yeah.
But you don't need to look at that, because even if it has a relevance there, it does not mean that its primary, more universal meaning is this.
Yeah, it's just like, I was like trying to say if there's like extra.
What is done, that's why they have them in those orders, because that's what you have to do if you are going to find a rule.
Yeah.
But though there are rules.
Don't get stuck there. That's very
not only that, but there are rules that were many rules that happened well after the Prophet ﷺ, and they differ from one school to another, from one scholar to another. But there are rules that are the basic, that were established during the time of the Prophet. Those two sets are not the same. This one can't have been set during the Prophet ﷺ, because there was no physical book anyways. And more than that, I don't want to get into but like even the recitation, people did not recite only when they were on wudu.
I'm sorry, I distracted you all from the main line, but like the point was like, I believe, at least now,
we
became not referring to wudu. Yeah,
we became the companions, we know from different narrations that the companions did not always recite the Quran only when they were on ablution. This is what I had read myself. But that's not the point. The point is when we become too much focused on only the physical book and how to deal with it, if it is at the expense of the Quran that is concealed in the book, then there is a problem there. Because when we focus on the Quran that is concealed in the book, and we realize that it is a tanzil, it says, and that we need to purify our hearts from our taking for granted that we understand, and we have to be in that state of ubudiyah, of asking for help, asking for guidance, of awe at what is revealed unto us, not only through the Quran. What is given to us in the world becomes clear, its meaning start unfolding. Then if someone says make wudu, making wudu itself is ibadah. So making wudu, reading the Quran, praying, all these are ibadat, then it's, as long as it is not reduced to that, then making wudu becomes also, how do you say, something meaningful. I understand why some people, they probably, because they were so much at all with the message of the Quran, they wanted to get ready with wudu in order to read it. But when someone who doesn't know what the Quran does starts only talking about making wudu, and you can't read without making wudu, and this, then it is a reduction of the meaning and the message of the Quran. One did it because of its his how do you say, respect and reverence, and the other one maybe doing it because he doesn't know any better. It's two different. And the second one makes us like feel like this is all, that's it, this is all. And I remember when I was a student, and that person was like, some people panicked because this person was touching the Quran. They wanted to take the Quran from his hand. It's his copy.
Yeah.
And
And
I was just newly interested in religion. That's why I was there. And I said, what are these people doing? Like,
but also, what about
and he's touching it whether you like it or not. If you understand touching that way, a physical book, anyone can touch it.
Yeah. And what about like the whole, like for me, like a woman when she's menstruating, she is weak, and she needs that closeness. Like it seems like as if it would be a punishment. Like if we say it's غذاء الروح, this is what we need. It doesn't make sense that in the time of my need, I'll be asked not to come to the Quran. Like this is the time I need it. This is the time I'm feeling weak. This is the time I'm needing a shafi. This is the time I'm needing the healer. This is the time. So how, like, it just never made sense. Yeah.
And that's why you find fatwa that says you can't touch the Quran, but you can touch a book where there is more dua, more non-Quran than Quran.
But how does this make sense?
That to me, that even if it is one ayah, that's Quran.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
Astaghfirullah. And we feel now more the need of being guided.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the answer and the discussion. Is there anyone who wants to ask another question or make a comment? Or highlight that's something that attracted your attention today? Natila, did you have something to say?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
I was just thinking about the role of the teachers, in helping us, understand, because we're talking here about, an active part, but I feel personally, I feel like different layers, like you understand, of course, in due time, and, with your own, with my own, journey and growth, inshallah, in this, that some of the things that maybe I heard even, let's say 2-3 years ago or 5 years ago, the way I understand, even if I'm, I'm not sure if it's even from the same teacher, but you realize them differently, right? There are a little bit more depth into them, and alhamdulillah, but So sometimes, yes, it is on my part, but I feel like the teachers help me if I hear it, from a speaker or from, a teacher, a class, the way it is explained, so it helps me understand it better. Are these also kind of,
Yes, that's
is
why
this what
we
is
teach.
included in this, right? In the
Yeah.
part, it's not just me, I'm gonna, come onto it on my own, but the teachers are also
No.
helping me, right? So this
Yeah,
is my,
we learning, when we
Mhm.
learn from the teacher, we are not only learning the result, because the result will also, you said, for instance, you learn something and sometimes it will unfold after a few years, right? It will start making more sense.
correct.
What I'm saying is what we are doing here, I am not only teaching the end, I could just tell you this means this. To me, it doesn't mean only this, but from one perspective, it means this. This meaning does not contradict the text and it can be deduced, understood from it. But I may tell you this, usually people share this, without telling you how I got there. What I am doing, I am also sharing with you the steps so that it's like someone gives you fish and someone's tell you, let's go and fish together, even if you're only sitting next to me. This is where I got my fish from. This is how I fished it. This is how I cook it. Let's eat together. We do it once, twice, 3 times, like you take your child with you or cook together. And then one day you say, oh, I fished one fish as well. So the only difference is that what I want to do, what I learned from my teacher is not only the result, but the whole process. And that's why I also sharing the whole process, but definitely we need the teacher.
Yeah. I like the teacher analogy because I'm not interested.
The first teacher.
Yeah, I'm not interested in fishing personally. So I would go there and sit and just enjoy it, but I would not try to learn how to fish. I'm just interested in waiting until you bring the fish out for me to eat. Like there'll be someone like me, with the Quran. But someone
I want to learn how to fish though.
Yeah, but when it comes to the Quran, we don't have that luxury.
Yes,
no.
but I can see
Into
where,
you as well.
Yeah, I can see where, in the Quran, God is saying, you need to learn how to fish. You cannot
that's why the Quran was not sent like that suddenly. It was sent with the teacher, with the Prophet. The way he received it, the 23 years, is part of the teaching. Yeah. So it may take us longer. We may enjoy going with the teacher, but still we'll have to also start fishing or whatever. Maybe you don't like fishing, you like something else. Find another analogy.
Yeah, but fishing is a good analogy because it's food, it's sustenance. Like if that's the only way for me to, let's say we only live by a river and there's no plants growing, I mean, whatever, I'm just making an assumption. And this is your only way for sustaining yourselves and those you love.
Then you will have
you have to learn. I cannot just keep laying back and waiting until until my teacher brings out the fish. I need to maybe enjoy it first, for a while, and then start learning little by little. But at the end, this is the only way to get sustenance for me and my loved ones. So, and it will be far much better when it's me, my loved ones, and I could invite other people to it.
Inshallah.
Now that reminds me of the parable in the Quran that talks about, if you had a family and young children and then you had a vineyard and it gets destroyed, how would you feel? I can't exactly recall, but there is something like this, which is meant to be a metaphor, if I recall correctly, for how urgent it is to make sense of this world and how urgent it is to find eternal life, because then everything is at stake. us and our loved ones. So it is definitely sustenance, inshallah.
Yes.
Is there anyone else who would like to share a comment, ask a question? Okay, so then we will pause here on that note. Yes, Alia, did you have something?
Yes, I would say I love that you reminded us of this area. I love that. Like I never understood it that way. Like I'm always trying to make sense of it. But I like like you and your family. So exactly what we're saying. And then all of the land, all of your sustenance is disappearing. So this is all of our sustenance, and it's not just for us. It's for us and our loved ones and like our family. So like all the land disappearing, all the sustenance is disappearing. So everything is at stake. I like the summary. That's another retreat title. Everything is at stake.
Yes. Not only everything is at stake, our eternal future is at stake.
Yeah, that's I think what the parable, yes, was saying, that the way I heard you, Aliya, say loved ones, which had so much energy, like that it reminded me of that verse, which I couldn't really emotionally feel because I don't feel loved ones' needs as well as I should. But anyhow, alhamdulillah, these are great connections in the Quran. So we'll pause here after having done 2 verses from 32nd Surah, Surah Al-Sajdah. We'll pause here. We'll inshallah continue next week. Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Yamina. And then Allah bless you. And Jazakumullah khair, everyone, for joining us today. The comments, the questions, and the contributions. Jazakumullah khair. And may we pray for each other in this path. Again.
Okay. So Yamina and Isra, can we discuss something after it's over if you have like few minutes, or do you need to run? So
yeah, I can say for a couple minutes. And just one last thing, our early registration for the retreat ended, but we still have registration going on, the regular fee, and it will go on till December 2nd. So if you still plan on joining us, didn't register, please do so and join us to explore beautiful names of God, inshallah, together in December retreat. So, Assalamu alaikum.